Woo! Welcome everybody.
Hey,
Hey, we're gonna hold for a couple minutes here as the participants are filling the room, and we'll kick things off in just a couple minutes.
all right. It's a beautiful summer day here in Grass Valley, California.
Yeah, this is a exciting webinar. We had a record number of registrations. We'll see how many people show up, but this has been the highest registered webinar we've ever held. So, welcome. I think we had over 300 people register. We have about a little less than 100 people here so far right now. A lot of you are new to Geoship, so this might be the first time you're joining one of our webinars. And a lot of you have been here for a while, so I'll kind of break down how we normally do this. So we like to give updates up front and talk a little bit about of the progress we've made since the last webinar, just so people who are new, or I'm sorry, people that have been following Geoship for a while can hear those updates and then decide if they want to stay for the presentation where we're going to educate you more on the investment opportunity and the vision and the mission for Geoship. And then so we'll start out with Morgan will share the vision. We'll get into some updates and answer some of the biggest burning questions. Um, we'll get into the presentation, and then afterwards we'll have an open Q&A. So if anybody has any Q&A, there's a separate Q&A thread from the chat. So please use the Q&A thread, and then Lauren's going to be moderating the Q&A later.
Yes, thank
So.
you.
Cool. Well, welcome. I think Morgan, our founder, who started Geoship in a wood barn on Whidbey Island, is here with us today. So he's going to start out by sharing the vision that he sees for this company.
All right. Thank you, Misha. Yeah, guys, GeoShip really, Boss and it's just come out of a kind of a deep longing for connection with people and place, to build the communities of the future, places where we want our to raise our children and really live into what we call the regenerative paradigm or the next paradigm where it's beyond this kind of one that we were born into. And so, when we start thinking about how do we catalyze humanity into a future that is more aligned with our kind of vision and values, one thing that it's the house that comes first in a lot of ways. So we looked at, what is um, if you just zoom your attention as far into the future as you can, 50 years or 100 years, what's going to be the most common form of housing on Earth? We really ask that question because the housing is sort of a tool to build these regenerative communities. And when you ask that question, you kind of got to get into the physics first principles. Like what are the houses made of? What is the geometry? What is the method of manufacturing? Those three principles are kind of the baseline of housing of any type. So the geodesic, when you look at the different geometries that exist out there, the geodesic is this like it's round, right? So it's this circle and triangulated sphere. It's kind of the lightest, strongest, most efficient means of enclosing space in the known universe. So a lot of advantages with resilience and it also happens to be this ancient pattern that is the flower of life, that's found throughout all sorts of civilizations back thousands of years that is just emblematic of kind of symmetry and beauty. And then we ask, what are the materials that the geodesic homes of the future will be made out of? And previously there were really, four major material families in metal, wood, concrete, and petrochemicals. And now, over the last like 20, 30 years, there's really a fifth family of materials that have been starting to be commercialized, which is kind of geopolymers. And a cousin of the geopolymer is what we're using, which is a chemically bonded ceramic or a bioceramic. So the material is potassium, magnesium, calcium, phosphate. It's really similar to the chemical composition of human bone. And there's you can reclaim these raw minerals from a lot of like seawater desalination processes and wastewater treatment plants, and there's just a lot of different the environmental impact is much less than concrete, and it is biologically resonant, right? So it's materials that are 100% non-toxic and that actually have well, technically it's a high dielectric constant, so it feels like it kind of holds a charge, like energy, ain't like hardwoods and ancient or trees that are more on the hardwood side versus the softwood side have a higher dielectric constant. And these are the materials that you really want to build with. It's kind of like you don't want to wear a plastic bag. You want to wear cotton and silk and kind of natural materials that also have a high dielectric constant. So we believe that, it's the geodesic made out of these next generation kind of ceramic and geopolymer materials. And then when you look at what is the method of manufacturing, it's essentially it's either formative, additive, or subtractive. You're either cutting stuff from stock material or you're printing or you're injection molding or molding things. And it's just one of the things that really is amazing when you think about it is there's over 1 trillion concrete blocks made on Earth every year. That's like hollow core concrete blocks, a technology that was invented in like 1900. And 1 trillion concrete blocks, it's about 30 pounds. It's about 1 cubic foot approximately. Not too much different than like your average ceramic geodesic component. So if we made triangles and struts rather than concrete blocks, it would be, about 2 billion homes a year. If we just, and that's with a 20th century technology. So
If we match the production rate of the concrete block.
if we match the progression rate of the concrete block. So it just like formative manufacturing, Legos, concrete blocks, you make things really fast and efficiently. So, this kind of home is really powerful technology for the future and a tool to build these kind of regenerative communities. So, um, a core part of we kind of think of Geoship in three areas, like the home manufacturing, and then it's really a village building platform. So ways for people to come together in a digital space and align on what they want the neighborhood or community to look like and operate like, because we're still building neighborhoods today with basically a pre-internet business model of developers at banks buy land and build houses and sell them to people, and people don't participate in the design of their kind of neighborhood. So we want to shift that. And then also a perpetual purpose-driven trust. So the a home building company like this is really building something that can be, I mean, home and community is it's sacred. So what kind of companies do we want in the future that will be doing this kind of work? And so we looked at, Buckminster Fuller's original mission statement, to make the world work for 100% of humanity in the shortest possible time through spontaneous cooperation without ecological offense or the disadvantage of anyone. So to form um, a perpetual purpose-driven trust that this organization is really serving that mission into the future. So
Wow. Thank you, Morgan. Yeah, it was such an honor to meet Morgan several years ago. My journey with Geoship started as a investor and a customer who ordered these for a regenerative community that I was expanding here in Nevada City, California. And Morgan and Boss, our founders, are just two of the deepest, hardest, like open heart, high integrity business leaders that are truly in this for the right reasons, really looking to make a major impact on the world, and shape how humans live in regenerative villages in the future. So it's been an honor to be welcomed into Geoship and I am Misha. I'm the CEO of Geoship. So Morgan really like drives the vision and I execute and pull the team together on all the day-to-day um, operating needs to keep moving the company forward as efficiently as possible so we can de-risk this company and make this dream and this vision a reality. Um, These last few months have been extraordinary for Geoship. Some real big updates on this call is we are actually in production. Like we are producing parts out of our factory. A year ago, we didn't have a factory, and now we have a factory, but it's an actual factory that's producing parts. And we are getting parts produced for our first customer site, which we're going to start installation on later this summer. I say installation because we're installing homes. We're not constructing homes. We're installing homes as a product. So that's an important distinction for people that are new here and people who've been around have heard that a few times. So that's really exciting news. And we also crossed some very key regulatory milestones. We recently got our structural engineering stamp of approval, which is going to apply to this product across our entire portfolio through the California Factory Built Housing Department. And we've also got approval on our windows. We went through some key tests in the last couple weeks and on our exterior panels. So, you know, all the regulatory approvals that we had to undergo testing for. Um, we have now passed the testing on all the ones that we're aware of. It's still possible they might ask us to do something else. We're still going through the final kind of paper pushing to get all the final approvals. But as far as the team is concerned here internally, we feel like we've significantly de-risked this company in the last couple months by getting all these key approvals, and even specifically here in just the last couple weeks with these most recent ones.
Yeah.
Um,
And just to color that in a little bit, like how significant that California factory built housing program, there's never been a panelized approach. Like we said, injection molding, like making parts in a factory that are assembled on site. Previously, factory built housing has been modules you have to build in the factory and then set them on site with a crane. It's
mhm.
actually our CTO, Craig, after leaving Tesla, joined Cover and Cover was the first company to really get factory built housing certification for a panelized product, and we've been able to follow that in their footsteps in a bit to have that approach, which just basically makes it just takes home building to a whole nother level of efficiency when you can make parts in a factory and then have a general assembly process on site.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine every single city, county with most construction technologies, you've got to educate every city, every county on this technology and why they should approve it. And they have to learn it, understand it, and approve it. And when you go through the factory built housing certification process, we're basically treated as like similar to a modular company that builds homes and factories and puts a few big boxes together on site. Instead, we're just installing our product on site with all our different panels. It really eases the regulatory burden in scaling. It takes a lot more work up front, but a lot less work as we scale and grow this company. Um, and it just makes it really efficient. We don't have to go through all the same types of inspections that you would need to go through with your local like authorities, with like the county or the city. And instead, the at the state level, the California state level, they're inspecting our facility and our quality control process, but there's not like these same kind of gating inspections, which tend to make construction timelines really long. A lot of big wins here at Geoship. The last couple months have been amazing, and it feels like we're significantly de-risking the business, and we're getting ready to deliver our first home to a customer. Pretty soon here, instead of seeing these beautiful renders behind us, you'll be actually seeing pictures of our first product delivered to a customer. Um, on that note, I'd love to, as I continue to speak, I'd love to share a new video. And this is our first video. We're giving you guys a sneak peek on this call of our exterior and interior animation from the AMA 1. And this is in Unreal Engine 5. So this is, these are not like AI generated images. This is an actual like complete model that we can utilize and work on different types of options that are going to support us as we continue to scale this company. So I'm going to share my screen and play this for you guys while I continue chatting. Cool. So that is AMA 1, and I'll keep speaking as you're enjoying these beautiful images. So what you're seeing here is a picture of the AMA 1 Founders Edition Dome. a lot of us has asked like, oh, why did the price change on the website? And I'd like to explain that we actually didn't change the price on the product. The original price on the website that was $169,000. That product is still a future product that we're going to be selling, and that's going to be a base model of this dome that you see right here. Because this is our first few deliveries to customers, we're buying a lot of things one off. We're not at scale yet. We're not buying tens of parts or hundreds of parts or thousands of parts. And we really wanted to make the first dome and the first several domes extraordinarily beautiful. We wanted to install that gorgeous helical staircase that you see. We wanted to put the maximum number of windows we can possibly put in this dome. We just wanted to make it a showpiece of what's possible, that you don't have any compromises when building a geodesic dome. And as you can see, this home is gorgeous. Like these closet doors are made of solid oak. It's like it is these bathroom cabinets were custom made. So it's not something that we can afford to sell at the future $169,000 price. In fact, we are going to be like losing a little bit of money on the several, first few installs. So we're hoping to get to break even by our third or fourth install, and which would be remarkable compared to any other factory-built housing company that has previously got to break even. So, that would be a major, major achievement. And we only can do that through charging a premium price for these limited early products that are very optioned up and very like high end. So the $169,000 price is our cost down model. And when we get to, you know, hundreds of homes a year, we'll be able to lower the price and offer a more affordable version. And then when we get to thousands of homes a year, that's when we look to be at the $169,000 entry price and be like at around $100 a square foot installed for our customers, which is just insane. Nobody can offer a home with this kind of value for that price. So just wanted to explain that so everybody really understands it and know that our our mission and our devotion and our dedication is to really make quality housing affordable for everybody. And the best way for us to actually achieve that mission is to start out by selling homes that are higher end and optioned up. So the first one, the Founders Edition, they're selling for $499,000. We're delivering them here in Northern California. That still is less expensive than new construction with a contractor in California. It's about $300 a foot. And you can't really build a new home in California for that price. So we're still undercutting the market on our very first installs, which is incredible. And we're going to keep driving down that cost, and we are going to deliver on our promise of delivering affordable houses to the masses. We're just going to all need to be patient as we ramp up. It's going to take several years to keep increasing production, open up new factories, buy things in bigger bulk, and we will have more base price options available for everybody in the near future. Do you
Yeah,
want to
and
comment
just
anything on
also
that, Mark?
yeah, just thinking, we're losing a little bit of money on the first installs, and we're really applying automotive manufacturing in a lot of ways to housing, and most of our engineering team is coming from Tesla and other automotive companies. And usually with a car startup, the first 1,000 cars are, or first 100 cars cost 10x the price that they sell them for. The next, you know, from 100 to 1,000 might be 2 or 3x, and it's not like they're not really breaking even until they're at tens of thousands of cars a year. And we're looking at like break even much sooner, by the third or fourth unit, and then be able to scale from there. So it's actually really good unit economics in comparison to other big manufactured products like cars.
Yeah. And I'll get into that more in the pitch and in the presentation that we're going to be giving for prospective investors. A lot of you are here because you're considering making an investment in Geoship and you're trying to understand, is this a sound investment decision? So I'm going to be getting into the presentation now. So that kind of concludes the updates. So if you've heard the presentation before and you don't want to stick around for the Q&A, that's the end of the updates. But there's always new things you could learn. So we'd love to have you stick around. And if you're new, we're about to get into the meat of our presentation right now. Let me just share my screen. Amazing. So, you know, As I've said, my journey to Geoship started as a customer, and I just fell in love with this product. And I believe the future of humanity is not going to be spent living in boxes and working in cubicles. I think the future is round. We don't see boxes in nature. It feels amazing to be in these homes. And beyond the field, the performance of the geodesic home is just absolutely exceptional. Um, when we look at the industry as a whole of home building, there are really five major problems that must be addressed to solve the crisis that we have in housing. So first is this crisis of sustainability. A lot of people don't realize this, but 27% of global carbon emissions actually comes from housing, which is more than transportation on a global basis. So our housing is really a major contributor to our carbon crisis. The second problem that needs to be addressed is resiliency. So we're all seeing these horrible fires, we're seeing these horrible hurricanes. Earthquakes just destroyed billions and billions and billions of dollars of housing stocks. And in fact, every year is shattering the records for how many houses are being destroyed by climate disasters. And we just have to accept that at some level, we are living in a world with increased climate disasters, and climate resiliency is extraordinarily important moving forward. We should be rebuilding homes for communities that will withstand the harshest climate events. The next issue is affordability. And this is one that like just really when you dig into it and when I was a young guy, like I'm dating myself now here, but I was in high school in the 90s and I got out of college. Any of my friends who had an entry-level job could afford to buy a house. It was just a different time back then. And right now, housing is unaffordable for over 70% of Americans under 35. So 7 out of 10 families that have kids are not able to enjoy the security of owning their own home and knowing that they're going to be able to live there and invest there and root there and create a life for their family in their own home. And that to me is just devastating and it's unacceptable. And Geoship is really here at its core to, help solve that problem along with these other problems. The next challenge is health. A lot of people don't realize this, but there's over 800 toxic chemicals found in common construction materials and almost half of homes in the US will test positive for toxic mold. So this is contributing to chronic disease along with many other factors, but we actually deserve to to be in a structure where we spend the most time in our life, a structure that actually nourishes our health, supports our health, and helps improve our health, not take away from it. And the last thing is something I really care about, and that's scalability. If we're going to solve these big challenges, we have to be able to scale. We have to be able to meet the needs of the day and do this at a massive level, millions of homes a year. And we have extreme shortages in housing and construction workers all over the place. In fact, every decade, the average age of skilled tradespeople like electricians, plumbers, and carpenters, their age actually goes up. So we need more and more homes, and we have less and less people to build those homes. So when we look across the industry, we see lots of different players in different categories. These are like modular players, 3D printed homes, panelized companies like ourselves. All these competitors are like, billion-dollar companies. And when we dig into our thesis on solving these five problems, nobody is actually able to effectively solve more than two of these problems at the same time. These companies are all making trade-offs. And when Geoship looks at how we solve these problems, we actually solve all five of these problems at a lower cost than any of our competitors. So, if you're like me, you're like, how could we do that? It feels too good to be true. So I'll get into that. Um, s- First off, I just want to share that this is a home with no sacrifices at all. It is a modern natural home with warm ceramic materials, lots of natural light, open floor plans, high ceilings. That's a 9 foot tall window you see in front of you and 22-foot tall ceilings. Like these are features you expect out of the most like beautiful and luxurious homes. Um, so not only does it deliver on that, it out delivers on all the five of these problems compared to any other company out there. So on the sustainability front, our homes have an 85% reduction in CO2 emissions. So that's the embodied carbon of the home, the operational carbon, and the recurrent carbon. Other home building companies that claim they have lower carbon homes, a lot of them have a lot more carbon intensive up front to have less carbon intensive in the long term. We actually have lower carbon upfront and on a long-term basis. So it's really game changing in terms of its carbon efficiency. Not to mention, this home is going to last for hundreds of years. So the life cycle of the home is just significantly better than any home on the market. It's also a climate resilient home. Our ceramic composites, they don't burn, they don't rot, they don't corrode. Insects can't even eat them. If the home was submerged in water, it would simply dry out. So the geodesic dome, the dome shape, is actually the most hurricane and earthquake resilient structure you can build. And because it's aerodynamic and it triangulates all the distribution of the stress across the dome, it performs so much better than a traditional rectilinear home. So this is actually the most climate resilient home that you can buy anywhere on the planet. Next, it's next level healthy. So as Morgan said, our materials are 100% non-toxic. The ingredients that go into our bioceramic composite are raw minerals, magnesium, calcium, phosphate. It's basically like you're living in a biocompatible structure. These are minerals that are inside your body, and you get to live in a structure where everything around you is actually made of minerals that are part of your own body. It just makes sense rather than living in a home with all kinds of toxic chemicals and glues and binding agents that are letting off VOCs. So not only that, this whole home is also mold proof. It's mold free. There's a lot of people out there, and a lot of our customers are people that have suffered from really like chronic conditions due to mold exposure. And this house solves that, even in the most challenging moldy climates like, Costa Rica or jungle type, like tropical climates. This house will not mold. Um, this structure also delivers game-changing affordability. So we're looking to have less than half the price of other home builders out there while delivering a much higher quality home than them. Not only that, the home is going to consume much less electricity on a month by month basis when you get your electrical bills. This is going to be a very, very energy efficient home. And we're going to be earning industry leading margins as we install these homes. So, game changing affordability with a business model that actually allows us to scale and have a tremendous amount of impact in the world.
Yeah, and the margins are critical for just being able to reinvest in the technology to build more homes at lower and lower costs too.
Yeah. And it's massively scalable. So as you can see in this mock-up, the homes go together like Legos. All the parts are designed to be sistered together. And this doesn't not just the frame, but even the electrical systems, the plumbing systems, like our HVAC systems, they're all engineered. We drive all the complexity into engineering and manufacturing, so we have a simple install process on site that you don't need to be a skilled tradesperson to install this home. We can take people that might be earning like $15, $20 an hour, give them a solid raise, and take them out of like let's say a retail store and have them lead a much more fulfilling career of giving people quality housing that is going to improve their lives. Um, and it's, one wild stat is that in one factory that's just like a third the size of the Tesla Gigafactory, um, we can produce approximately 1 million homes a year in the US. That's not our model. We're probably going to have a lot of smaller micro factories spread around, but it's our factory footprint is so efficient to deliver this type of technology. So how are we able to do this? If you're like me, you're like, wow, this is insane. This is too good to be true. I don't really understand. And that's where I was at when I first met Morgan and Boss and discovered Geoship. And then I realized it really was through this first principles innovation in three key areas. So the first area is the geodesic dome. It is the strongest, lightest, and most efficient means of enclosing space known to man. You can ask any architect; they're aware of this. And and if we used our same materials to go build a rectilinear home, that home would cost us twice as much to build. So not only do you get the beauty and the climate resiliency of the geodesic, but the same square footage home would cost twice as much for us to build in a rectilinear format. So the geodesic is truly a game changer in terms of efficiency, affordability, strength, climate resiliency. The next first principle innovation is our material, and this is GeoRock, and this is what Morgan and Boss and Neil, our team, our like founding team and our early team spend years tirelessly testing material formula after formula after formula. They actually tested, excuse me, thousands of formula before really figuring out like what it takes to industrialize bioceramics and use them that where we can use this beautiful, amazing material to build a home. And you can see these strength profiles here, like the flexural strength is 4,000 psi versus 600 psi for concrete. One of the major improvements here is a bond strength of 5,000 psi versus 150 psi. And what this allows us to do is to use our material to bond all of our panels together. And we basically turn hundreds of parts into one big monolithic structure on the job site. So the material fuses together and becomes one. And it really is a huge part of the innovation of our technology. When you're using the same materials and building a home, they also expand and contract together at the same coefficient of expansion and contraction. And that prevents like cracks and leaks and those types of things from occurring with the material.
Yeah, and that bond strength is actually outdated there too. Now we're getting over 9,000 psi, and it what happens is the cylinder crushes before the bond breaks, right? The
Wow.
bond is it's higher than aerospace grade epoxies.
Yeah. So the material is incredible. And then, as Morgan mentioned, just the method of manufacturing, the fact that we're injection molding these parts allows us to build very efficient factories and that we're installing it on site as a product. So when you combine those innovations, three different innovations from first principles, that is what really drives our capacity and ability to do this better than anybody else is doing this on the planet. Um, and, so it's great to have an amazing idea and to have all these innovations, but it's also complex to do so many things different for the first time. So we knew when Morgan and I got together that the very first thing we had to do was hire one of the best teams on the planet to carry out this mission. And that's what we did through the help of Dolly Singh, who's our head of talent. She was the head of talent at SpaceX from 200 to 5,000 people. Um, Dolly helped us recruit the most incredible, incredible go-to-market engineering team. Craig, our CTO, was a championship winning NASCAR engineer. He then got recruited by Tesla. He led chassis development, vehicle dynamics, multiple departments at Tesla's during their hardest 7 years of that company's history. And you don't last 7 years working for Elon if you're not just like one of the best at what you do. He then left Tesla to apply what he learned there to housing because he had a really deep passion and drive to productize housing. He then led engineering at our biggest competitor, arguably like the pioneer in factory built like panelized homes. And then he came to Geoship. And what he saw in Geoship is an opportunity to match the level of customer excitement that they had at Tesla. He talked to our customers and just realized, like, wow, you have all these customers that are just insanely passionate and excited about this product. And he also just really gravitated towards our first principles thinking on this and the ability that we have to get our costs so much lower that allows us to scale. So, with the help of Craig and Dolly, we then hired Andrew and Paul. Andrew, our head of manufacturing, he led the development of that giant tent in the Tesla parking lot that got him out of production hell. It was one of the most breakthrough manufacturing lines at the company that actually supported them in like breaking through and getting out of that production hell. And it was the first manufacturing line he ever engineered. Prior to that, he was an engineer working on like the dashboard and the AC systems and the Model 3 and Model Y, which if you have ever driven one of those cars, that's an incredible piece of engineering that went into that. And just one of the best in the world, like, and so passionate, so values aligned with Geoship's mission. Paul, our head of product engineering, he was also one of the top engineers at Tesla during like that critical time. Prior to that, he was at Honda. He left Tesla to go work on a top secret project at Apple that we're not allowed to talk about, but you probably know what it is. And then he went to Zoox to basically pioneer the very first ground up build robotaxi that ever landed on the roads, that was purpose built to be a robotaxi. And he was a VP of engineering over there. So just one of the top product engineers. Sarah, who's our head of crowdfunding, has raised over $100 million with Aptera in equity crowdfunding as our CMO, and she's supporting us. And Dr. Ali Ozar is one of like the top, ceramic material scientists. And he actually mentored under one of our advisors who's really like been a leading expert in these bioceramic composites. So we just got the right team. And beyond these guys, we've got dozens of other people that are world class. Everyone else on this call, Justin, Lauren, you're all world class, and we're so grateful for you. We have the quality of team that you need to actually take a startup and take it from inception to a massive amount of scale. And we invested in that early because we knew that would make all the difference on this mission. And we were willing to be patient, to find the right people and to bring them together. And we're also just finding that they're extraordinarily passionate about what we're doing. A lot of the leaders that we're finding on our team, they've really kind of started on their consciousness journey. They've really woken up to looking at the world through a different lens, like a lot of our investors and customers and people have. And they really wanted to make a tremendous impact on this planet. And Geoship gave them an opportunity to do that. So couldn't be more excited. Um, we've had so much momentum since we hired this team. We've raised about $12 million to date. We've got over 300 million in customer reservations. I think this is now over 350 million. Correct me if I'm wrong, Lauren, but we passed 350 million from what I remember. We hired this world-class team that I mentioned, and we fully engineered our go-to-market product. So, if anyone here wants to make a larger investment, like it's just such an impressive body of work to go look through all our CAD and all our IP and all the amazing things we've done to engineer the go-to-market product that you saw in the video early in this call. And this team is going to create movements through regenerative impact. So not only do we have a groundbreaking product, we are offering, housing as climate activism. Like our homes and our communities are going to contribute to a more thriving world where we're more climate resilient, where we're lower carbon, and we're like having thriving health. And people are drawn to this product because of that, and will be continue to scale because of that. And lastly, we got to have the prototypical like finance slide showing the hockey stick of revenue growth. This is something that we've refined over the years. As we've gotten more and more information, we've really refined our revenue targets. And I would say for a seed stage company that has yet to launch a Series A, which we're going to be doing this fall, we have an incredible body of work in understanding our cost down models and how we're going to scale this company over the next several years. And so this is more than just kind of like throwing a dart at a dartboard. It is through the work of understanding what it's going to take to get bigger and bigger factories online, to scale this product, to raise the money we need to scale, to continue to refine the product. And it might feel like we're starting off slow, but then we're going to ramp up very quick. And what we're doing is we're investing capital early in building a foundation for scale so we can scale more later. So instead of making twice as many homes next year that might push back our ramp rate because we're thinking differently, we're investing in the foundation so we can get to that thousands of homes and cost down model years earlier, even if we're sacrificing some level of volume and scales in the next couple of years. We're going to get things right before we ramp up and before we scale. We're going to make sure the product is right. We've iterated on it. We get our install times down, and we, set ourselves up to win and to really impact the world in the long term. So this leads us to our final slide and the ask that we have for you today. We've achieved all this through all of your help. We have over 3,800 investors in this company. And we're not going to venture capitalists and large, private equity funds and like big investors. We want to do this differently. We want to build this company in a decentralized way with people that resonate with our vision, that care about the impact we're making in the world, and that align with our values as a company, which is why we put extraordinary amount of effort into these equity crowdfunding campaigns, into the WeFunder campaign that's running right now. It actually takes a lot more energy to raise money this way than it does through venture capital. But what it does, it allows us to maintain our founder-led type company, where we're holding the vision as sacred and we're holding the impact as sacred. And we are building this with a very thoughtful approach for the long term, not just for, short-term profits. So the opportunity we have right now on WeFunder is to invest in this revenue share note. We currently have an early bird special, which gives a 3x payback rate on this revenue share note. So if somebody invests $1,000 in the revenue share note, we're going to send checks to you every quarter based on a percentage of revenue, based on the size of the investment. And you'll get those checks every quarter until you get 3 times your investment back. If we hit our ramp rate that we showed in the previous slide, this would give us above a 30% rate of return for investors. So, you know, much higher than you would expect through traditional type of like debt offerings. Um, and if it takes a little longer, you're still earning significantly higher rates than you would through other types of investments. We also have a little bit of room left on our last safe note that we're doing before the Series A. It's currently only open for accredited investors. So if you were an accredited investor, if you are an accredited investor and you're interested in that, you can reach out to me or Justin, or the invest at geoship.is. Justin's on this call. Which I'll introduce now as I end this presentation. But please join us on this mission. Every single investment matters. Like we care about every single investor, whether it's a $500 minimum or a $50,000 investment. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose. But if you believe in what we're doing and you're aligned with our mission, your investment matters. It helps us continue to execute and continue to bring this to market. And most of our investors that we find actually came from referrals. So it came from, I talked to an investor recently who invested $250,000 and they had dinner at somebody's house and there was someone at the dinner table who invested $500, but they were so excited about the product and he was so excited to hear about it. He went home, started watching YouTube videos, and before I knew it, he was emailing us and he put in $250,000. So it's not just your investment that matters, it's actually your evangelism and educating the world that this exists, getting people into our ecosystem, supporting us by connecting them with like a YouTube video or information about what we're doing so they can discover for themselves this incredible, incredible opportunity. And then pretty soon in September, October, we're going to be launching our Series A. We're going to be doing that live with equity crowdfunding as well. So stay tuned for that. And a lot of our investors and some of the people on this call have just invested in every single round we've offered since the beginning, and they just keep coming back and keep investing. And we're really grateful for you and really appreciate the impact you're having with your investment. So thank you. So I'll introduce Justin. For those of you who've met Jay previously, Justin is taking over his role in investor relations. Justin's also going to be building out our partner program as we go into our Series A. We're going to be launching a partner program and we're going to be working with partners and influencers, people that have large audiences to educate the world about Geoship. And Justin has a lot of amazing experience doing that. And he's the sole brother with deep business experience and very aligned values with the company. And we're just really grateful to have you. And so a lot of you who are talking to get more due diligence on your investment, you'll be connecting with Jason, so you can put a face to the name.
Excellent. Thank you, Misha. It's great to be here and such an honor to be part of an incredible team on a mission like this. For all of you accredited investors, as Misha said, the invest at geoship.is email address will reach me, and John Mark put that in the chat here. So looking forward to supporting everyone as if you're interested in the pre-A round that Misha shared on the last screen, and as we move forward into the Series A, be able to support that in the future as well.
Thank you, Justin. So I believe we got a whole bunch of questions. Lauren's been I see her eyes moving in the background there. She's been like filtering the questions and getting them ready for us. So what are the most burning questions the audience has here today?
All right, so there is a theme that is coming up, and it has to do with the specifics around how we would be able to offer like a repair product or warranties. So one of the very specific questions that came up that I thought was interesting is, even as simple as having a little hole in the wall from hanging a photo or, a piece of artwork, like how will people be able to maintain it on their own?
Mhm.
Hmm. I can take
Yeah,
that
go
one.
for it, Morgan.
Is one of the most exciting aspects of this approach to home building is that you can basically repair and resurface the dome with the same material it's made from, right? And you can actually mix that up, by hand in a cup for like a little bit if you want to put it in a pinhole. But like you can mix it up on site and do repairs. You can spray this material like a paint and resurface the entire dome. So never having to replace shingles or roofing or paint, but you can resurface once every 50 years or sure exactly what the maintenance interval will be that way, but very long. And yeah, really being able to repair and resurface with the same material.
And we are offering tremendous warranties on our products for the very first customers that are taking the biggest risk here because we're a new company. Like frankly, it's like true. Like they're taking a risk by like investing in a $500,000 product and trusting that we're going to be around. We're offering them a lifetime warranty on the product. And warranties will probably change over time. But we will be offering like abilities to like upgrade, order new panels, to reconfigure your home. Like we want to look at home building as a product. So when you need to change something about your home, you don't have to go to Home Depot and figure out how to tear something down or restructure, like rebuild it by cutting things and dealing with all these kind of things. We want it actually to be like productized where we have a vision to create like an Etsy for domes and Etsy for geoships where people can create using our technology and offer all kinds of custom type products you can have in your dome. And we're also going to be selling our kits to allow people to reconfigure their domes in the future. Now, that might not be available right off the bat. It's going to take time. We're going to have to scale first. But that is our vision. Like we want it to be as easy as like you go to your app and you order different pieces for your dome, and then someone just shows up and installs it for you, and you don't really have to worry about anything.
Yeah, and that video that you saw there is not just renders, that's a digital twin. So imagine the home in the future, you not only have you'll have an instruction manual for your home that includes everything, all the components, not like one for the AC and one for the heater and one for the dishwasher, like all separate things. It's one thing, and you'll be able to actually have, because there's a digital twin, you can put on augmented reality glasses and look through the walls and see where the wires are and have a helper in the glass instructing you on how to maintain the home. Like the home as a fully integrated product like this really unleashes a whole nother level of kind of maintenance and repair support.
Awesome. Okay, this one's kind of fun because I think it gets into some of the origin lore of Geoship. But why did we pick the name Amma? And what does it mean?
Yeah, well, it's Sanskrit for mother, so it's arguably like the first word in the oldest language. It's the first word that people think when they are born, mama, and this is mama in the oldest language on earth.
Awesome. It's so fun and intentional.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to color that in a little bit, one of the reasons for it, like we've had quite a few like yogis and meditation practitioners come in the dome and they feel this like uh being hugged, the energy is like really, really ultra grounding. And so the mother, like Alma, is kind of after the feeling inside the home as well.
Yeah, it is not uncommon for people to cry when they come into the dome for the first time, 'cause it really does feel moving. Okay, so we have talked about the AMA, we've talked a lot about the Founders Edition, but people are very curious about the product roadmap after the Founders Edition. So additional models, and specifically, there's been some questions around the shells or being able to have an outbuilding or a greenhouse or some other applications of it.
Yeah.
You speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have plans to launch many, many products in the future. We have a double dome that's 2,700 square foot. That's 4 bedroom, 3 baths, and that's the home I want because I got 3 kids, and I want more kids, and I want them to have their own rooms, and as they become teenagers and be able to have their own space. Right now, they're all sharing a bedroom in our little house, so um, you know, there's a lot of people that want that product. There's also a lot of people that want the shells, and we're going to be creating shells that allow you to do backyard studios, yoga chalets, retreat center, kind of shared like event type spaces. And we're going to have shells in various sizes. We haven't made a firm decision yet on what exactly is the next product we're going to launch after the AMA one. Right now, we're just focused on AMA. We're going to launch AMA. Our product engineering team, once it's launched, is going to be working on the next iteration of it because we're going to be learning as we install the first dome how we can improve the product. And we're going to nail the product first before we start building other products. Because if you build other products on a platform that's not perfected yet, you're going to build a lot of unperfected platforms, and then you're going to have to iterate each of those platforms. But if you iterate the first platform and you get it great, like you go from like this is a beta product to this is product is amazing, it installs efficiency, there's absolutely like no like problems with the installation process, then we can go and start engineering the next product. So we haven't released a timeline on any other product offerings simply because we don't want to create expectations when we don't really know if we can meet them yet. We want to be like really upfront with people. We're committed to building other products as soon as we possibly can. And it's going to take some time for us to get this first product right so we can then scale other products faster.
And our goal is that they're somewhat backwards compatible. You can add a small dome as a connector to one of the first dome you might buy. And I think also a key thing to add here is like the product is going to improve over time, but it's not really the customer experience that is improving so much over time. It's like the manufacturing technology and our ability to install. Like it's kind of like I lived on a wooden boat for 7 years before starting Geoship, and one of the like fiberglass boats when those were developed, they were very thick hulls, right? And used a lot of glass. It was inefficient, but still those are the most sought after hulls today is like the old fiberglass ones. And it's the same thing. These first domes we're installing, they're really heavy. Nobody cares how heavy the house is once it's installed, but it's harder for us to manufacture and harder for us to install. And making it heavier also makes it easier to get through regulatory. It's just like it's super strong. So it's not the customer experience that's shifting. It's still a ceramic geodesic dome, and it'll just take more energy for us to install them, more craftsmanship instead of like manufacturing technology.
We've designed the Alba One to have an amazing customer experience right out the gate. And a lot of the improvements are going to be behind the scenes.
Awesome. Okay, so we have people from all over the world in the room today, which is pretty cool. But naturally, that lends itself to having some questions about how we're thinking about scaling to other regions, especially internationally. You talk
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, like it's kind of the same conversation with a different lens, but it's like we want to scale as fast as possible and have the greatest impact on the world that we can. I don't see us delivering internationally in the next like 12 to 18 months. Um, we do have some large investors that are looking to build some communities internationally, and it's possible that they send people over here to be trained on how to install the AMA, and they work with their local building departments to get approvals for this, and then they start shipping units to those other countries. But that's going to be very on a kind of major project basis for people that has the ability to do that. For us to serve individual customers internationally, we're going to have to get to scale first. We're going to have to build divisions in other countries and hire installation teams in other countries, get all the necessary approvals in those other countries. And that's going to take several years. So I don't want to give your hopes up if you're outside the US. And if you want to just order a single dome, it's probably going to take a while. If you're working on a major product and you're a project with many, many units and you're interested in maybe being one of the early international customers, please reach out to us because we are going to look to scale internationally through partners like that initially.
Awesome. And I'm going to put in the chat, guys, a write-up that Morgan did that sort of outlines this scaling strategy and gives some timelines and specifics around the volume. So check that out. I think we have we have time for one more question. So one that has been coming up quite frequently. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about how the dome is engineered for all different climates. And specifically, this question came in asking about how it handles hot environments like in Mexico or even tropical.
So I can, so, that's another thing that's really beautiful about this product is that it fits in so many different locations. The ceramic reflects over 80% of radiant heat, so it's a very high solar reflectance index. So great in a desert kind of climate. There's also a sort of a natural cooling effects that happen in a dome structures. If you see a lot of the mosques and structures that are in desert climates, that the convection patterns that happen within there sort of have what won't get into the tech, but it's like a pressure differential that creates a cooling effect. In Arctic climates, the US military has built like geodesic domes and Arctic stations that have been there for 40 years. It's a very tight envelope, so no air leakage or very little, and ACH less than one, so good in um, a snowy climate.
Yeah.
And also in a tropical climate, nothing for mold to grow on and insects to eat. And
Yeah, it's definitely it's adaptable to many climates. The current model was designed with kind of like mountain regions in mind, and we might have different designs that are more open for tropical climates and different types of design elements. But it's a product that can be adapted to virtually any environment on this planet. And it's very flexible, which is abnormal in housing. It's very, very difficult to build a housing product that is capable of performing. Oh my goodness, what a cute little kid that is capable of performing in so many places. So
Awesome. Okay, guys, I'm going to put in the chat as well the link to our WeFunder campaign. There's actually, if you have more questions, you can always submit them here in the Ask section, and we try to get back to you within 24, 48 hours with a complete answer that goes through our team. But to close things out, Misha, I'm going to ask you what I always ask you, which is why invest now? And maybe touch on some of the perks that are available.
yeah, I mean, there's never a better time than now, and to join our mission. And we do have some really incredible perks. You can go to the WeFunder page and click on the perks. We have some incredible discounts on the dome. You can get up to $99,000 off your dome for making an investment. There's other perks to have you come out and experience the dome for yourself. So please check those out. And it's just why now is because the world really needs this. And it doesn't happen, it takes a village. Like it's not going to happen without a massive community of people supporting this mission, supporting this vision. That community is here. You guys keep showing up for us and you keep investing. We've always been able to raise money as we continue to de-risk this company and continue to like on our path to scale. So we appreciate that. And let's all join the regenerative movement together and make this difference together and make this beautiful vision a reality. Thank you for your support.
Thanks, everyone.
all right. Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Woo!
Have a
Woohoo.
great day.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, people.